Hello. So this is a video of a pattern that I've done before, that I've made videos of before. But once again, when I try different yarn, I want to try different patterns. And even though this is a tried and tested pattern, these little tiny squares have 3 rows to them. They are reversible. And they're made in a yarn which is called Stylecraft Special DK or double knit. This is in the UK, so I don't know where else it's available. I have another little video that I've just made which has these little guys in them. And because last night I was trying out the different yarns to see what each yarn was like, some of them, for instance this one here, is very thin, and this one is thin and slippery. So I used those for the centers because I didn't like them as much for the edging. I found they were a bit thin and a bit slippery. This one is not as bad as that one. But I also thought it'd be nice to have a little pillow or cushion for the lounge that I could look at, showing the different colors. This range was picked out. This is an extra square that I've just made now. This range was picked out by a charity called Woolly Hugs. It's the Candy Crush range, and they like people to send in squares or blankets, either made from one of their ranges. They have particular color palettes. That's the right word, color palette. They have particular color palettes, so when they put all the squares together from the different people, then the blanket has it kind of matches up. I looked yesterday on the place where I bought these yarns from, a place called Woolly Nuts. I think it's called Walnuts. And they had 99 different colors, so I wrote them out. Now the ones that are from, I said walnuts, so the ones that are from the Candy Hugs, I don't want to call them Candy Crush, sorry, Candy Hugs palette, are here, and then I just wrote next to them whether it was quite thick to work with or whether I found it quite thin to work with, whether it was medium. The one color I didn't have, which I bought these in May. The one color they didn't have was a saffron, which is part of the Candy Hugs palette. But all the other colors are here. It's a shame, because if I had that one, I would have had 25 squares, each one being different. But that's not the case. So what I'm going to do, which I did, was to make a test run. Because when I join them together, I want to use a technique that I did a few days ago for the first time. This is a different yarn. And I joined them together with single crochet, but I started in the center, and what I want to do is I want to start from the side. So yesterday I was experimenting around with that, starting from the side. These are mainly Mariner yarns. They're thicker, also double knit, but they're thicker. You can literally see difference in the yarns. They're supposed to both be double knits, but definitely give a different result. They're not all Mariners, but a lot of them are. And I really like this, starting from the side instead of starting from the center with the single crochet and then zigzagging up. So that's what I will be doing as well with the little ones. But to start off with, I need to make that last square, and as this is a demonstration video, then I will need to do that. So let me take these guys away. I just laid them out. There was no particular order to them. I do have videos on my compact reversible square, because what I do is I actually start there and then I turn over, work that row, and I turn back. So it is a reversible square. It's also compact because it does not have any chains on the side. There's only one chain in each corner, and they are made in double crochet US terms. So why does it say I can't? It says I can't zoom in or out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push pause and I'm going to zoom in, and then later on I will join the video together. So here we are, readjusted the camera. I am starting off with a magic circle. So wrap the finger, put the hook through, oops, put the hook through, fetch the yarn, bring it back. Don't drop anything, keep as it is. Go and fetch the yarn again, pull through that little loop on the hook and pull tight. And that is my slip knot. That is how I start off my magic loop, the little slip knot. You can take the tail out now, you can also do it later, but let me take it out now. We'll be pulling that tail later to close the magic circle. Then I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. That will count as my first double crochet. Each group or cluster has 3 double crochets, so I needed to make 2 more to complete this group. First group is completed. Chain 1 for the corner, and I will make another 3 groups, each one comprising of 3 double crochets. It's a bit fiddly. This yarn is not as slippery as the one I did in the previous video, which is uploading right now. I made the little popcorns. It's got a slightly rough feel to it, which is wonderful for working with. And our end of the chain, so I'm going to count. 1, I think I made too many groups. Sometimes it happens, or maybe not. 1 group of 3, 2 group of 3, 3 group of 3, 4 group of 3, and chain 1. I got a coughing fit, so I had to push pause. I'm back again. So I've completed round 1 almost. I now need to close that magic circle. Make sure that it's all the way in. And what I will do now is slip stitch to the top of that first, well, I call it a stitch, but it's not actually, it was actually the slip knot and then the 2 chains. There's a loop right at the top. What I do is I slip stitch into that. Slip stitch means you go all the way through. And at the moment it looks like it's just a perfect circle, but there are actually 4 corners. And one of those corners is just behind the slip stitch. And I'm literally going to put my hook into that corner, that space, and I'm going to fetch the yarn and I'm going to bring it back. So now I have 2 on my hook. Fetch the yarn again and put it through. That is a single crochet. A single crochet that's actually worked backwards. I'm going to chain one, and that is actually the first stitch of my next row. But because my squares are reversible, I reverse the work. Now I'm in the corner, 4 corners. See that space there created by the chain one of the previous row? Into that I will be working this corner here. It'll be on that side. Yeah. A corner comprises of 3 double crochets and a chain one and 3 double crochets. The first stitch is already there, created by that single crochet and chain one. So I need 2 more double crochets, a chain one, and 3 double crochets, give him a tug just to pull him into the corner. So I'm happy with him. And move over to the next chain one space from the previous row. Now remember here, I'm not chaining here. There are no chains on the sides. This is a compact granny square. It makes especially if you use a small hook, it makes a dense, compact little square. The larger the hook, the more chains, the thinner the fabric, the thinner the yarn, the looser your granny squares become. See, there's a corner. See how I am now? So I'm going to chain one and into the same space. I'm going to complete that corner. Do you see where I'm going now? Now this is a side. There is no chain one on the side. I'm literally going to go straight into the next corner and repeat the pattern of 3 double crochets, chain one, 3 double crochets. I've now reached the end of row 2. That's how quickly it goes. I do not chain one here. I literally will slip stitch right away into the top. Remember where we had the single crochet chain one? If you look, you can divide the 2 posts. There's your group of 3, 1 post, 2 post, 3 post. Right at the top is that V. Slip stitch all the way across, and I repeat the process I did for the previous row. I'm going backwards to create a single crochet, chain one, turn the work, in the same space I've made 2 double crochets. Now that will become the side. You see the side here? But there are no chain ones between the sides and the corners. So that side is completed. I'm now in the corner. I immediately start the first group of 3 double crochets. Oops. Get my yarn. I've chained 1 without even thinking, because I know I'm in the corner. And I start the next group of 3 double crochets. I see that I'm on the side. This is worked under tension for these particular squares, but you can work more loosely if you want. You can go up a hook size if you want as well. There's no reason that they stay tight like this. It's just how I've started them last night, and so I'm going to continue. This side and a corner. Now this yarn is gripping nicely with itself. I'm assuming it's the different dyes that create the different yarns from the same product, so to speak. Stylecraft special double knit. And all the yarns are so different from each other. That's why I made little notes into the book, because a slippery yarn will give a completely different result, both of it and how you crochet it, the pleasure or displeasure of crocheting with that particular yarn, and also the result of what has been made. I do like when my yarn have these type of rough. If it was a dog, it would be like a little terrier, little what they call them, wire head terriers. So I've come to the end, just checking I've got 3, and this is where the square is going to end. So I will be cutting the yarn. I have to have a nice long tail, so I can always cut between my fingers, and I pull it out. We're at 11, almost 12 minutes. The second part of the video, I did have to stop it to start again because it wouldn't zoom in. There we go. Still, this was the actual crochet part. For 1 square is 12 minutes plus the explanations. I'm now going to be sewing in the ends. I'm taking a sharp darning needle. I like the sharp point because it bites into all the fibers and really anchors. You can't frog it afterwards. You can't undo it afterwards. It really is impossible. So be sure that you are ready to actually work it in when you use this kind of needle. But later on, it will not come undone in the wash, and it can last for years, especially if it's a blanket or something that your children or your dog or a cushion or something that you want to wash often. It's really nice to know that those threads are well worked away. So I untwist them. Oh, did you see what I was doing? Yes. Let me do that again. I'm chatting away instead of actually teaching you what I'm doing. See what I said about how once they get in, they get in. So what I did was I used the back. I went into the top V. Then I came back into the same one I just come out of. Turn it over. Go into those 2 there. Make sure it's the size that I want. Turn it around. Pinch it. Picking up this little loop at the base of the stitch. Going across and finding the loop on that side. There's another one. You can go to all three, pulling the yarn through. Now remember, these are reversible, so you want it to be as invisible as possible. That stitch is now completed. I'm working the yarn away. I've unraveled the plies. I've gone into the worm, finger in the back here, guiding so it doesn't come all the way through. I call these worms, pulling it through and going down to this worm here, which has 6 double crochets at the base of it, pulling it through, going through 3 and then another 3 until I finish that center. I don't want to work into there because I need to close. I'm going to make sure that's closed, which I have. I've just pulled it. On the safe side, we're not going to go down there. Instead, we will come up. Just keep on going until you run out of tail. And keep unraveling the plies. Because what you want is you want the fibers to grip each other. There's absolutely no way this will come loose. So I've worked that way. This one, when I've come up here to these worms, I'll work around this way. So I'll just leave that as a guide. I'm now working away the magic circle. Making sure that I'm not going in the direction where the yarn's actually coming from, which will undo the magic circle. So I'm continuing in a clockwise direction on this particular side. If it was on the other side, people would be in a different direction. I actually don't know. Let me see if it was on that side, clockwise direction, on this side, yeah, on this side would be anti-clockwise. So just be really careful that you know from where the yarn is coming before you work away the magic circle. And I'm giving a little twist just to undo those fibers, those plies. Because this has got how many plies? I think it's got 3. Yeah, it's got 3 plies. So worked in that corner. Go in the opposite direction. And I'm just working away into the worms, undoing the plies. Almost run out of yarn. Just come down and work into that worm there, and that should be the end. Perfect. Those are not going to come undone. And as I said, there's no way you can frog this out, take it out. So this little square is finished, and now I have 25, and I am going to join them, but that will be another video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now.